Hello everyone, I'm Helene and welcome to Cabin Fever Crochet. I have another fun one for you. This is an easy 2-row repeat after the first setup row, and you can work this in a variety of projects and get many different looks out of the same stitch depending on what type of yarn that you use and how you combine them. Besides these few here that I'm going to show you and the face or dishcloth that we'll be working up together, this would work very well for a variety of items such as scarves, cowls, say like a bathroom, a kitchen rug, or even a little bedside rug. You can use just about any yarn and weight. I do recommend, if you are using it to put, say for a hot pad or you have a hot dinner plate on, use a high cotton content, because synthetic and delicate fibers have a low melt point and you can chance ruining them, and if it has metallic in it too, keep that in mind. And for this little mug rug I used Lion Brand's 24/7 cotton. They're 100% mercerized cotton. It's a light number 4 weight, and it's the same stitch, so it looks really good. And whether you do just one solid, a two-tone solid, which I've done here and here, this is the same, except one I did a different border and one I added fringe instead. This is Willow Yarn's Cumulus Cotton. I did a review on this yarn recently. The link is below if you're interested in seeing that. It's a number 5 bulky. It works up very nice and thick, but it's very soft and squishy too, or cushy rather, more cushy. So that would be great on your feet as the rug I mentioned, and as a trivet as well. And this is Bernat Maker Home Decor. I had this in my stash. I think it's like 28% nylon core, 72% cotton. And sadly to say, based on the searches I've done, I think this yarn has been discontinued. I'm sorry to see it go, but I wanted to show it to you anyway so you can see all the differences. And this is a variegated yarn, and the spike stitch is more subtle. It is still there though. And then of course I did yet another border, and they're all quite easy. And yarns come and go anyway, so you can just use whatever you like. You see it works equally well in a variety of yarns. This one here, the dishcloth, wash or facial cloth, we're going to work up together. And what I like about this is the two sides look very much the same, but they are a little bit different in texture. This front side is more smooth and the stitches are more defined. You can see those spikes even more. They stand out, pop out a little bit. Now on the other side, this has more of a textural side. You can see it's a little bit nubby looking. It has more of the peaks and valleys and the highs and lows. So that can be more of your bit of a scrubby side, and then you have a little more smoother side. And also depending on the type, I mean, if you use a scrubby yarn, or like that would be in place of a loofah for your skin, or scrubby for a dishcloth, then that will certainly give more action to that. You could do like a housewarming basket for someone if you wanted to do household items. A trivet, a dishcloth or two, put that in a nice basket, maybe bake them a homemade banana bread or something. And then for this one, if you use it as a facial or washcloth, you can make a really nice little spa basket. It doesn't take much. You can put 1 or 2 washcloths in it. You can get small travel sizes of skin, body, foot care products, maybe with some packets of tea. I think that would make a really lovely gift for just about anyone. A thank you gift, a girlfriend gift, bridesmaids gifts. You can just get creative with that. This project you can make in a square or a rectangle, and however long or as wide as you want it. Just be sure whatever border you decide to do, that you leave enough space all the way around for it so your piece doesn't wind up being a lot longer than you had planned. And for supplies, you will need 2 hook sizes, the larger of the 2 for the beginning chain, and then the smaller of the 2 for the body of the work, and depending on the border that you choose, you may need to go back up to the larger. And choose your hook according to the project. So if you want more of a dense, structured piece, such as a trivet or a rug, then you will go 1 to 2 hook sizes down. You might have to test that just to see how it works up. And then if you want something more loose, open and drapey, like a scarf, then you would go up 1 to 2 hook sizes. And if you have stitch markers, grab some, because they will come in handy to just help define and mark our corners as we make our way around. Okay, I'm going to grab my yarn and let's get started. Today I'm working in Hobby Lobby. I love this cotton. This is an older discontinued yarn. The amethyst and green are still available, and it's quite soft. Will make a lovely face cloth or a washcloth, and that way by using the different colors you can really see the changes. And then also I want to show you how we work up the stitch, if that's what you want to do, and how to carry our yarn going up without having to make cuts within each color change. So you have to decide when you start how much color and which one that you want at the base. Begin with a slip knot, however you like to make yours. Start with the larger of your 2 hooks. We're going to make the beginning foundation chain, and it's an odd number of chains plus 1. So for this face cloth, I'm going to do 19 chains plus 1 for my turning chain. Alright, I have my 19 chains plus 1. Now switch hooks, go down to the smaller of the 2. So now I'm going down to the H5 millimeter. And I would like you to work into the back bumps, so turn over your chain and you'll see the raised bar going down in the center all the way across, and this is what we're going to be working into. It's going to give you a nice full stitch along this edge so it's more even on both sides, and will be a lot easier to work into as we come around and do our border. Now pull up your loop a little bit higher on your hook, and we're going to half double crochet into the second chain from the hook. So skipping the first one, half double crochet in the second, and because we're only skipping 1, you need that extra height with the loop on your hook to make a full half double crochet here. And then easy, just half double crochet in the back bump of each stitch all the way across. And when you get to the end, you should have the same odd number of chains that you began with, not counting that plus chain 1. So I started with 19 chains. I should have 19 half double crochets at the end. Okay? And I will see you there. That's all there is to the setup row. 1 row of half double crochet. Now we're going to move on to row 1 of our 2-row repeat. So we'll do 1 more row with this color if you're doing the 2-tone effect, and then we're going to switch it up. Alright, so chain 1 and turn, and that first chain does not count as a stitch. And on this row, all you do is you're going to half double crochet into that same very first stitch. Make sure you go through both loops. You chain 1, skip the next, half double crochet in the next, and that's all there is to this repeat. Chain 1, skip the next, half double crochet in the next. Chain 1, skip 1, half double crochet. And I will see you at the end and work the last stitch together. Here I am at the end of row 1 of our 2 repeat rows. I have 2 stitches left, and it's the same, but I just wanted to show you on the last stitch. Okay, so you chain 1, you skip the next, and this last half double crochet on the end can kind of shrink down and angle to the side and downward a little bit, so I just want to be sure you didn't miss that. And then you just half double crochet in that last stitch, and then finish it off as usual if you are working in the same yarn, whether it be solid or variegated. And if you're going to switch and do the two-tone effect, then what you do is you begin your half double crochet, yarn over as usual, insert your hook into the stitch. When you pull up that loop, you stop. Then you're going to take the new color yarn, and then you finish that stitch by just slip stitching it through. Okay, so don't cut your ends. To carry it up, all you do, keep your tail end out of the way so you can see what you're doing. You grab the yarn, that first yarn that you just dropped, and you want to carry it over the top of your new yarn, and then take that yarn with you, the one you dropped, and move it to the other side so they don't get tangled on each other as you're moving back and forth. And then with that yarn over top and in back, you chain one with your new yarn. Turn your work, keep all these other ends out of your way. Alright, and then here we're going to half double crochet into that very first same stitch again. You're always going to be working through both loops in the body of the work. Okay, and then in the next stitch, you see here's your chain one that you did on the previous row, and if you do like just a visual line right below, you will see this stitch one row below, and this is what we're going to double crochet into. Alright, and bring that up nice and tall to the height of all the rest. You just double crochet. Then half double crochet into the next, which is a stitch right next to that chain one space, and if you saw what I just did, you might need to slide that spike stitch over just a little so you can see the stitch at the top, which belongs to this next half double crochet here, and this is what you want to work into. So you half double crochet there, and then again spike stitch into the next. So here is your chain one, and directly below that is the stitch from the row below, and you will double crochet there. And this is all you do all the way across. All right, half double into the next. And there's that chain one. Below that, double crochet. And I want you to kind of look at the stitches here. You might think when you half double crochet in the next that you would go into this open portion there, but no, you go into the stitch at the top through those two loops. Okay, so half double crochet, double crochet spike. And these two rows, 1 and 2, 1 and 2 is our repeat pattern. Okay, so I'm going to see you at the end, show you how to switch, carry up our yarn again, and work another row with you. Okay, I am at the end of row 2 of our repeat pattern, the half double crochet and spike stitch. I have 2 more stitches left. I've just completed a half double crochet, so now I work into the stitch 1 row below, do my last double crochet, and then half double crochet into the last stitch. I know sometimes those are a little bit harder to see. Alright, and then now we're going to chain 1 and turn, and this is our half double crochet, chain 1, skip 1 row. So half double crochet into the first stitch, chain 1, skip 1, half double crochet into the next. So if you notice, okay, chain 1, we're skipping the double crochet spike stitches, and we are half double crocheting into the half double crochets. That's easy to remember, right? Okay, chain 1, skip 1, half double crochet into the next. And I will see you at the end of, again now, row 1 of our 1-2 repeat. Okay. Here I am at row 1 of our repeat pattern. Again, I have 2 stitches left, and again, if you're having a hard time, seeing that stitch that tends to turn to the side, you can always grab one of your stitch markers and just pop that in when you first make the stitch, just to help give you more of a visual. Alright, so we're going to chain 1, skip the next, and half double crochet in the last. So we've completed our 2 rows in this color, and now we're going to just do the first part of the half double crochet, and this is where we switch colors again. Okay, so you're going to take the yarn that you have been working with, and you're going to bring it over top the new color, and then you can use your other hand just to hang on to that and keep it out of the way, and then just yarn over and pull through with the new color. And again, now we have that new color back up to the top. Okay, chain 1, turn, and then you do have to untangle or make sure your yarns are straight and get them out of the way each time, but it's a trade-off. You save from having to do all those ends. This is our spike stitch row now, so it's a half double crochet into the first and a double crochet spike stitch into the next, that one row below. Half double crochet into the next. Remember, scooch that aside a little if you need to. Okay. And then there's your chain 1. You follow it down, and that stitch becomes pretty prominent. You can see that pretty well. So you just do your double crochet spike stitch into that, half double in the next, double crochet spike in the next, and that is your spike stitch 2-row repeat for as long or as wide as you want it. And feel free to rewind if you need to see how to carry that yarn up again, but here's how it looks along the side, and once we do our border you will not even see that at all. Okay, we'll have fun with this little pattern. I will see you when I finish mine and show you the few different border options. I've come to the end of my last spike stitch row, so we're going to do one more in the same color, and don't cut your other yarn just yet. Okay, so chain 1 and turn. This is super easy. We're just going to half double crochet in each stitch all the way across. Alright, so half double crochet in the first, in the next, and in every stitch all the way across, and I will see you at the end of this row. Okay, I'm at the end of my half double crochet row. I'm going to half double crochet, finish my stitches, make sure you get that last one. So now you have to decide, when we start making our first border around, which color you want to do that in. And you can go ahead and cut that second yarn, that other yarn, if you like. You can see we're on the wrong side. We finished on the wrong side here with this last row. But once we get our borders on, to me, I really can't tell the difference. There's very little difference from the top to the bottom, and this is just how it worked out to get this effect and to have the even amount of width in the solid color from the top to the bottom. So now for the border, and I'm just going to start here with the trivet. Okay, that's real easy, and then I will explain to you the difference I did on the little mug rug, because it'll make more sense once we get this portion of it done. And then the last one I will do, which is the one I'm going to finish this in, is the border with the double crochet and a modified version of the crab stitch, but they all begin with one single crochet all the way around. And so now, instead of working back and forth in the row and turning, we're going to be working around and around, and then you would just chain one. Okay, so I'm going to turn and go on the right side of the work. Okay, and we're just going to place one single crochet in each stitch all the way around. Okay, so just one single crochet all the way across. Now I'm at the second to last stitch of the first single crochet row, so you will put one single in the next and 3 in the last, and that is to make your corner. And this is where you would grab a couple of stitch markers, and in the set of 3 single crochets, just one in the middle, and then you know that is your corner right there. All right, and then turn in the very next space or stitch. You will place a single crochet, one in the next, and try to go through 2 loops in each if you can. That's going to give you a good base. And then one in the next, and then place one in this little small stitch here. You want them close to each other, about one single crochet width apart, just like up here, but you don't want them so far apart, like spaces where you have big gaps, and you don't want them so close together where they bunch up, and that's going to cause your work to ripple like that. And this is where you will need to write your number down also, because you want to be sure however many stitches you did on this one side that you will be doing the same down the other side. I'm going to call those the raw edges. So it's the raw edge where you really need to keep track of, because then your work will really be misshapen if it's not the same. Okay, so another stitch in the next. Remember to get that, make sure, yeah, you get that little one, okay, right in there, or you'll have too big of a gap. Okay, so here we're coming up onto the next corner, and here you can see the top. There's my last stitch. Just going to put a little stitch marker there, and that's where I'm going to put my next set of 3 single crochets. So just keep going. One, and then probably one more will fit. Might have to really kind of make that last one fit where it connects up to the top. Do one and then the other, loop if you have to. There we go. Okay, and now I'm up to my first stitch where my slip knot was at the beginning, and go right into that stitch and place 3 single crochets and stitch marker right into the center of those. Okay, and then this side's going to be super easy because those are full stitches, and you can just zip across. And these full stitches now, they're a little tighter because this was our beginning chain, and because we worked into the back bumps. Remember I said that's going to give us a nice full stitch to work into when we come back around. It looks so much better, cleaner, fuller, a lot easier. Alright, so now here we are. It's the last stitch on the end. And again, put 3 single crochets. And you can weave in, and anytime you come up on one of these cut pieces, cut ends, and you can crochet around them as you go, but because they are not knotted on the inside anywhere, leave enough of tail at the end so that when you do weave them in, you have enough to go back and forth a couple times, and then maybe put a little knot somewhere in there where you won't see it. So now working along this next side, I'm going to place one single crochet in that small stitch right next to, get that out of the way, this last of the three. It's tight, but it'll fit in there. And don't make these tight either, these single crochets. Okay, one in the next. And you can, if this is too tight right here and you're having trouble like fitting your stitch in, and it's really not wanting to go in there, and that you're afraid you're gonna wreck something by forcing it, then just put two up here, okay, and then skip that little one right there, and then go into the next, okay, and the next, and this side is more tricky, so it's nice doing the other side first so you can kind of get your rhythm and feel of what you're doing. Okay, so here I'm going to go in to the top of that carried yarn and then through that other piece. That will just anchor those down. Now I can go through these two. I'm going to go ahead and count and see where I am, and I will be right back and continue to the other edge with you. Show you how we connect, and then we can change our yarns. Oh, and when you count, just count the stitches you're putting in, not including the 3 in the corner, and same for the other side. Okay, so I have 20 and I'm up to 13, and kind of look where my placement will be. Okay, so that's just about right. And there's 14. 15. 'You hear my dog? 16. 17. 18, 19, and 20. And now into this single crochet that goes across the top row at the end, we're going to place 3 single crochets into this stitch. Get your last stitch marker and place it in the center of those 3. If you're going to be working in the same color all the way around to finish off like I did with the trivet, then you don't need to cut your yarn and fasten off for this finished edging. Okay. If you are going to change colors, then you insert your hook, pull up a loop, and then now you would just connect with your next color by slip stitching through those 2 loops. And I'm going to show you this in this different color because it's easier to see. Alright, and now all I did there was just slip stitch around, and you can go up a hook size, and I recommend doing that so that it doesn't shrink your work in and it keeps it nice and fluid, but you don't want it loose and sloppy either. So this is one really easy way. and that is through both loops. And it creates kind of a neat little top stitching effect on both sides. And then when you come around to the corner, you just place one slip stitch, oops, in each stitch around. And you want to do that loosely, because if you make those tight, because we're not increasing there at all, if you make it tight, it's going to cause that end piece to curl. And then when you come back around to the beginning, you will just slip stitch into the slip stitch, cut your yarn, and sew in your ends. Okay, so on this one, first you do the round of single crochet all the way around, and make sure you do your 3 in each corner. Then I reconnected. I chained one, skipped one, single crocheted in the next, chained one, skipped one, single crochet, chain one, skip one, single crochet, and that left me the space to put my little bit of fringe. Then when I came to the corner, I put 3 single crochets again in each of the corner, so you want to make sure you still have your corners marked. And then you just slip stitch all the way across. Instead of slip stitching through both loops of the single crochet, I slip stitched into the back loop only. The back loop only. And I would go with the H hook for that. Just be careful not to make it too tight, because if you go too big of a hook, the loops will be bigger and it'll be too sloppy because you're only working through one loop. So it's a thinner amount that you're going through anyway. And you see what that does? It creates a really unique effect. Okay, see what I mean here? And then so you get this kind of double raised effect from your previous row down here, and then this stitch working in the back loop. That kind of ties that all in together. Okay, so now for the placemat look, I'm going to slip stitch into the next stitch. Don't do that tight. And whether you're working in the same yarn or a different yarn, I do suggest cutting your yarn, you know, fastening off like you normally would. You can weave that in now if you want, or later, or a little part of it as we go around with our next round. So we have 2 more rounds on this, and I'm going to reconnect on, say, the other end, because you have where you fastened off and connected and put a knot. If you want to start on another end, and here's where the 3 single crochets, I might skip a couple and start here, just so I don't have all my starting and ending in one spot. I'm going to chain 1 to lock that in, and we're just going to double crochet all the way around, but instead of doing a chain 3, we're going to do an alternate double crochet, so we have a full stitch instead of that string look that goes up. So you just single crochet, and then on the left here, just that loop that's facing you, insert your hook, and then single crochet again. All right, and then in the next, and then here I'm going to go over a little bit of that tail end on the back just to secure that a bit. Okay, I'm coming up on my first corner, and since I have that marked, I know that is where I'm going to put my 3 double crochet. Take that out for just a minute. It's 1, 2, 3. And then now I want to pop that stitch marker back into that center of the 3 marks my corner, and then it's all you do for all 4 sides. So you keep double crocheting all the way around. When you get to your next corner stitch marker, put 3 double crochet in there, and then do that all the way around, and I will meet you back at the beginning here. And remember to put your stitch marker back into now the center stitch of the double crochet, and then 1 into the last, and then we're going to slip stitch to the top of that alternate double crochet, slip stitch to join. Okay, if you are working in the same color, you can continue on with the last round and you don't need to fasten off. I'm going to change yarns, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut that, get it out of the way, grab my multicolored yarn. Hopefully this isn't going to be too wild and crazy. And here's where you may want to go up another hook size. You can try it. You can try it with the hook you're working with. We're going to do a crab stitch or reverse single crochet in my modified version, because sometimes the full crab stitch, working that around in every stitch, creates too much bulk and it tends for the work to curl up. So this is what I do a lot instead. Alright, so now I'm going to pull that out where I slip stitch to join, and I'm just going to join now with the new yarn by inserting my hook onto the other side and bringing it through, and then through that loop on my hook, leave enough tail. Okay, I'm going to chain 1, and before I get started I'm going to secure those 2 tail ends together. I make a little square knot, left over right, right over left. Okay, I don't cinch it real tight though, in case I need to take that out. Alright, so now we are going to do a reverse single crochet into the next stitch on the right, and I am going to go up a hook size. You can kind of feel that it's a little tight when you're working your way because you're working backwards and it takes more yarn. So we're going to do a reverse single crochet in every other stitch along our horizontal edges, and then when we get to the corners we're going to do it in every stitch because that will count as our increase. Okay, so you're going to, in this very next stitch, work a reverse single crochet, and you just go in to both loops and work a single crochet. And now you're going to chain 1 and work a single crochet in the next stitch. Okay, now you can take out that center, chain 1, this is your center, and remember that, single crochet there, chain 1, and you're going to do the reverse single crochet in that last stitch of that group of 3 double crochets. Now we're going to chain 1, skip the next, do your reverse single crochet in the next. Gosh, that's a mouthful. And this is what you're going to do all the way along, again, this next side. Chain 1, skip 1, reverse single crochet. Chain 1, skip 1, reverse single crochet. And we're going to do this all the way down along this edge. Okay, and I will meet you just before the end and show you what we do when we make that next corner. Okay, so we have our group of 3, 1, 2 is the center, and 3. So I'm going to chain 1, and I am going to place a reverse single crochet into the next, and again chain 1 into the next, Take that stitch marker out now. Chain 1 into the next. Those chain 1s are our increase to make the corner. Chain 1 and into the last group of that 3. Now we're going to chain 1, skip 1, reverse single crochet in the next, chain 1, skip 1, reverse single crochet. Okay, I will see you at the next corner. Here I am to my third corner. I'm like, okay, what do I do now? Here is the center, and the first 2 where I landed, it would have taken me, instead of 1 more back, it would have taken me here where I did the stitches right next to each other, 2 before we started the trio here. So what I'm going to do, kind of make up for that, instead of chaining 1, I'm going to single crochet into the next stitch because I don't want an increase there, and we're still maintaining the same number of stitch count. Now I'm going to chain 1 and then do the reverse in the very next stitch, and again chain 1 into the next, chain 1, into the next, chain 1 and into the next. And that was finished the third in the trio plus the one before that got that increase. Okay, so now we go back into the chain 1, skip 1, reverse single crochet in the next, chain 1, skip 1, reverse single crochet in the next. Then just go ahead, carry on with the pattern, remembering to increase around that corner, and then I will see you back at the beginning. Alright, here is the last of the work, and then I have the 1 stitch left. Here's where we began, so I'm going to chain 1, skip the next, and work into the stitch of our beginning join. Okay, and then I am going to chain 1 to lock that in and bring my yarn through, which I already cut. I'm going to grab the smaller hook, and you can bring that through. Do you see what I'm doing? Through that first stitch, I bring my hook from back to front. I'm going to hook on and then pull that to the back. Give that a little tug down, and then I will take my yarn needle and sew in my ends, and when I bury them, when I come to a spot where you can't see it, that's where I might make a little bit of a knot. And then I will do the same with these, and that gives a really nice smooth clean join. No lumps or weird bumps. I hope you enjoyed this one. Please let me know what you think. Alright, remember to like, share, and subscribe, and come back again soon for more yarny fun together. Take care, everyone.